This is GOAT, grades the absolute truth of the intelligent South, and you are listening to Deeper Than Music Radio.
The core of you, the fans, the truth. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music, deeper than music.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Deeper than music. Behind every great song, there's an even greater story. So this man is about to get a long introduction because there's been so much history between me and him. It goes in the line of Jay Lewis, me being in the DFW area, shout out to Cali D, and just while I was there being immersed into the great hip hop that's there in Dallas, Fort Worth. This cat, I like me, I guess I could say I'm biased because I like artists that have artistry. You know, artists, the root word is art, that have artistry, that bring messages. This dude is very intelligent. He was also a co-host on Conscious Cafe, where we just had intelligent, thought-provoking, and uncomfortable conversations. And I always respected his point of view. And even, I want to say before COVID, I now date things before and after COVID. Before COVID, this man had like a lot of things popping off, and he shared with you guys on the last few episodes of Conscious Cafe. And now we're just now, catching back up just to catch up with him. And like I said, this guy's very intelligent on some next level stuff. And if you listen to his music, you get food for thought. And all the great things happening for this guy is much due. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Muenster here on Deeper Than Music Radio. How you doing?
Man, I'm so lovely. What a wonderful introduction, Mark. It's so good to talk to you again. Dude, a lot has transpired since you and I sat on a microphone and had those hard discussions and those breakthroughs and those revelations. So what an interesting world that we've kind of pivoted out from. I think it's reflected a lot of biases and divisions, unfortunately, but also a lot of new ways to create communion. And I'd like to talk a lot about communion today on this interview, and I'm sure that we'll find ways to circle back to it.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm lovely, just fresh off the fatherhood train. I got a little 11-month-old baby, not to mention an almost 20-year-old daughter. But so kind of both ends of the spectrum there. Just found new love over COVID and post-COVID, during COVID, whatever, and started a whole new chapter in this whole exploration of experiences in our skin suit, if you will.
Yeah. And one thing that you said, man, that stood out to me, and every now and then I quote, is like, lean into the fear, man, lean into it. And I think COVID, and we talk about pre and post COVID, we had no choice but to lean into the fear. And speaking from an artist perspective, like Hollywood shut down, but people found a way. But specifically talking to you, is I remember specifically like things were popping, like you signed with Orchard. And like, I know you was working with Rise, you were working on some beautiful projects, and then COVID happened. Can you tell us like what transpired during that time? Like,
oof, yeah, man. I mean, okay, so lean in, show up, do work. That's kind of like my internal mantra, if you will. So COVID happened, things shut down, but it also like, I didn't ever stop collecting beats from producers. Producers kept making beats, right? Our ability to use time in a personally efficient way, I think, became more apparent when everything shut down, because I was able to continue working. Thank goodness my company was, quote unquote essential, but they definitely moved everybody remote for a while. And so working remotely, you're able to compartmentalize, set your task list, get what you need to do done, but then also you're faced with kind of new productive pockets, I like to call them. So coupled with that, everything went out the window as far as kind of expectation of which trajectory I thought I was on. Last I signed with Orchard, I kind of was eyeing LA. Things were looking lovely to maybe move out to California because, like I said, I was in a big transition in my life, but that did not happen, and I'm so thankful it didn't, because so many other cool things have. So another byproduct of COVID was the way I approached the next time I wanted to cut a record. I was definitely riding the wave off Weirdo. Weirdo did really well. I mean, I broke over 500,000 streams worldwide, probably closer to 750K. But in doing so, I was able to make a lot of connections and make these new forms of communion. But I threw the constructions of releases out the window, and I sort of approached this new record, Muenster Vision Presents Ian, my namesake, myself, as a no rules release. Again, I didn't stop collecting beats, I didn't stop writing, but I found myself just writing 32 bar verses, or bringing in jazz fusion and sampling, horn players, and just bringing in some weird odd pentameter to my rhythms, the way I'm hitting the verses. Just, I kind of threw everything out the window of, all right, this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is the order of operations. This is how you release a record. This is how you advance into a distribution deal, blah, 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 because everything changed, to your point. But my will and wanting to make music didn't. I just found new ways to carve out these pockets of time. Again, these creative pockets, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it, kind of, but there's so much more to it. But that's that's what the pandemic affect was kind of throwing all the rules out the window and just saying, I want to create something new, some new piece of art. I want to figure out as many touch points to my art as well. And in doing so, I had at the same time really found digital assets and understanding token-backed digital asset management and blockchain ledger transactions and the value of indemnability and transparency and decentralized finance, and adding the inherent longevity of utility to my art creations and bringing that into a digital space or into a meta space or a Web3 space, but creating as many hands-on, tangible access points to the art itself, to the creation itself, to the assets, so that there's this cool amalgam of digital presence, digital brand work, but feet on the ground, roots planted, real deal face-to-face, work being done, creating my art, disparating my art, making sure that the art finds as many hooks and roots as it can.
Yeah, because you built the thing like an NFT and then the whole meta. Because I know one thing, Snoop Dogg jumped on that real big, and then I remember seeing with Mark Zuckerberg, his whole meta platform, and then even shout out to Gary Devine, man. He was telling me, he has the whole set, the VR virtual reality world, and he was trying to describe that to me. But and then I like to say one thing that stood out to me about you was you have the vinyl, you actually have the promo material, you have the physical assets, and the way you move your brand and the way you build your brand is phenomenal, man. And then you jumping into that whole next platform, like you said, digital assets, and finding that market, man. That's cutting edge, man. Because I still think people, you stand out in that aspect, and Snoop stands out in that aspect, and you're making it work, and you're at the cutting edge of that. And you've also brought up something too, man. I didn't realize that you was actually gonna move out to LA. That would have been a huge transition. And I also like to say that with me, and I'm glad you let me reconstruct this, let me redo this. Okay, this opportunity necessarily didn't pan out the way that it needed to, but I'm gonna keep on moving. And then it gave you time to work on your artistry, and then just the plan shifted. Because for me, man, I actually, if you remember, man, and I'm kind of glad that COVID happened for my sake, because it gave me time to think and reassess my life. And there was a point the only time I had time to think was taking international flights. And I actually was working on something with Amazon. We were taking Deeper Than Music to Amazon. We were going to do a series. I actually had did some filming, and unfortunately, an ex buddy of mine, I shouldn't, and don't reveal your cards all the time, took that idea and kind of tried to beat me to the punch. And that whole thing fell through. I ain't gonna lie, I was pissed off. But luckily, the platform, I'm still dealing with Amazon, I'm still dealing with Audible. But out of that whole issue, it gave me time to think and reassess my life and make moves. But I'm glad things panned your way, because it's once COVID hit, it was bam, you know what I'm saying? And the shutdown, Hollywood, when AMC in danger, everything was in danger in Hollywood, but people figured out a way, and as with humanity, we always figure out a way. But can you speak more deeply to like the whole metaverse and just
Sure.
that whole aspect of how you made it work? Because it's still like being pioneered, and I feel like only a select few people really get it. But can you break it down for us and for the listeners?
Absolutely. I'll tie it back in again to communion and again to what you just said. I mean, it's a great segue. You said the people found a way to make it work. You know, Hollywood shut down, but we still made it work. The people made it work, and it's through communion work that we were able to do it. You know, things like VR chat or alt spaces or Zuckerberg's Meta or crypto voxels. These kind of external places to hang out, congregate, create, and coagulate, sort of, and be. Even though we're separate, we can still be together in this kind of virtual sense. So from that standpoint, you know, these metaverses, these avatars that we create, these virtual imprints of ourselves that we're leaving in the world in Web3. Web3 is really just like this immersive pathway to experience the internet and brand experiences and music and art and creation. It's just, you know, super experiential. So I'm going to say immersive again. And what I mean by that is you look around you in these meta spaces and you're going to be surrounded by art or music or entrenched in whatever the brand recognition is that you're going after. And that's the inherent purpose of like kind of advancing ourselves past the screen. We're transitioning instead of looking at something flat and taking it in like kind of a flat stance, we're advancing into something. And so it's a walk that we're doing together. It's a dance into the future. You know, we're kind of architecting the future. All of us pioneers right now that are creating into the unknown. It's kind of like this too. Like, you know, we're like ready to boogie at the party and nobody's even spiked the punch bowl yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
There's a lot of eagerness and like, when Lambo, when the moon, when is everything gonna pop off for all of us creators and people that are spending time in this space. But we have to realize that most of the time, people that are taking in my art that I'm talking about as minting or drops or packs or unwrap or blend this or these tokens that it's just right. So I acknowledge that. So I love to take the time when you ask me the question, can I explain that? So like, one way I like to talk about it is when you go to an art show, say you go to like a expo, right? And you're going to a collectible expo and you get a signed print from one of your favorite artists of some comic cover. And it's got a number 25 of 2000 or something, or 1 of 10, right? Whatever that kind of indicator is, from a collector standpoint, you're going to take it on word that that's the only 1 of 10 or 20 of 2000 or whatever kind of print and asset that exists. Yeah. And you're just taking it at face value that this artist isn't going to go one stop down, take that same print that he's made 5 billion of, put that 10 of 100 on, sell it to somebody else, and you don't know. And that's the end of the transaction. The separate kind of carve out here from a digital transaction or from like a token-backed asset management standpoint is now that same print you get at the same marketplace, you can pick, you know, basically spend the same market value on, but know inherently that it is your unique asset, it is a unique creation, and that you as the collector are in sole control of kind of what happens to that asset. And then from a creator standpoint, it's no longer, I've sold this work, I've shaken hands with this purchaser, and that's the end of it. I don't know if they're going to go put it on their wall, if their dog's going to do duty on it, right? Like, I just really don't know. And that's kind of been the way that art goes. And there is some mysticism there with art, but the same thing to be said when you're talking about an asset and a creation and wanting to understand your value and your presence in the world and its place in something larger than yourself. Having a way to track it and know its worth and its exchange rate and how often something's being kind of shifted from hand to hand is something that's unique and new by attaching a blockchain or a ledger to the actual transaction of the asset being created and then purchased by a consumer from a creator. And so like, that's it in a nutshell. Like, you go to an art show, you buy a print, you don't know anything else about it other than you bought a print and you put it on your wall. But you go and buy your favorite print as a digital asset, you can still print that off, you still own ownership of it, that's still yours to do with what you wish. You then now know how many of those prints there were created. How often are these things being exchanged? Is this artist on the rise? And then you can set up inherent royalties. You talk about generational wealth now, because if you're a creator and you put in like a 10 to 15% back end, that every time your work is transferred and sold and exchanged, you're going to reap 10 to 15% of that back end, and you grow, and your artistry grows, and your brand grows for decades to go, long beyond us being here.
And I like how you. Oh, go ahead. No, I was like, one thing that I like how you said is you can track that, right? You have the digital signature, and it's not diluted. And just from that aspect, and even like you said, that being attached, and like you said, if you get 15% off the back end, it's always tracked, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. That's one little like layer of the onion. So like expand the mind to thinking about high-end retail. All right. So let's take brands like Cartier, Rolex, Tiffany, Fetty, things that are already at some level isolated, numbered, marked, and identified as a unique, right? So you might get a placard with your item that says signature, timesmith, this person, this is number 500 of 2500 of this timepiece. Again, that is as solid as a piece of paper is in a signature. Those things can be forged. Those things can be duplicated. So you start to think about the ramifications of those digital signatures and the secure transaction of a ledger-based exchange between a high-end retail asset and a consumer. You eliminate places like Canal Street in New York City. You may still have items being sold and transferred, but those flexes go away, because someone can have something that looks legit, but they can't pull up their wallet, sign in, say, you know what, this is mine. I'll show it to you on the blockchain. Here's my mint number. This is authenticated. It's like those diamond testers. Folks are going around testing people's grills out and like, how real is your jewelry type of thing. Yeah. At some level, having this digital asset in a wallet and being able to kind of claim that it's yours is a flex like that. And there is something to the authenticity of ownership there.
Yeah, because I've done it before. And shout out to my peeps that's been in South Korea. I've had some South Korean Jordans, and you couldn't tell like the damn difference. I walk into a Foot Locker and like, damn, fool one of the guys at Foot Locker. Yeah, these ain't out yet, man. They overseas. Oh, really? You know what I mean? But it's like you said, you got that certificate of authenticity, and that goes a long way, because you don't know. You know what I mean? Plenty of times we find that people have had something of value and they didn't know it, they didn't believe it, and then once they, like you say, they go to that person that can verify, or you have somebody that thinks they have something of value, and then come to find out, hey, it's just a copy. It's not even, and then when I think, exactly. And then I think of, like, as we're sitting here talking, because there's another person like you, shout out to Gary DeBond, we were talking about, and as you were talking about the metaverse, I just it clicked a conversation that I had with Gary like 2 weeks ago about, hey, we're now learning how to mix things in surround sound. And like, my man Gary, he does he does like movies and stuff. And for me, it was like, he's like, hey, you may need to learn this. But then I'm thinking, like, as the metaverse, like when I think about how you do things and how Snoop's done it, like an album can be an immersive experience. And I'm like, you know what? Mixing in surround sound.
About that. I'd like to talk about that if I can.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm actually in discussions with a couple developers to create Muensterverse, and this record that I'm putting out, Muenster Vision Presents Ian, will be a fully immersive listening and interactive experience. So you'll go to a website link, and you'll log in, you'll pick out an avatar from, you can randomly select it. You don't have to do the work. You can just click a button. It'll say pick for me or whatever. Or you can spend some time and pick your avatar out so that you can go and explore this kind of fully immersive experience. But anyways, you'll go to Muensterverse, and it's going to thrust you into this kind of warehousey type environment where there'll be my visuals playing all around you. Like, you might look up, you might look down, look all around you, and you'll just see my visuals, all my videos for this record that I've cut, kind of playing. And then there'll be these like virtual headphones, these big old headphones you're going to walk your avatar under, and then boom, the song's going to kick off. And then my trading cards that I've created with all of the artist features and their footprints, their impact to me and their impact to hip hop, that's going to populate. And so you'll be able to kind of read about the artist and understand like their artist's impact onto the record while you're listening to the song, and kind of move from track to track inside of this fully immersive experience that's happening, surrounded and centered on all of the art, and all kind of from the comfort of your home, in the goggles if you got them, on the screen if you're doing it on your phone. It's kind of irrelevant, and that's kind of the point and where we're headed, and the direction we're headed is to be able to provide as much easy access to these experiences as possible.
Yeah, and that's one of those moments, like, I think now with the metaverse, it's kind of like there's an opportunity to where it's like when the music video was a medium and Michael Jackson just, you know, just took it to a next level. This metaverse thing, and even what you're talking about, is like a whole beautiful, that's an opportunity right there. And I like how what you said is like, you're also bringing other artists that impacted you, and you're also sharing their narrative. So it kind of reminds me of like the Freedom Tower. You know, you go up in the Freedom Tower in New York, you put on, you know, they have like these binoculars, and as you're looking, it's digitally telling you, okay, this area is this and this area is that. And it's awesome because it's adding value to your music, right? And then you're creating your own universe. And then just from like a promotional, and then also from a merchandising perspective, man, that's huge. That is huge, man. And I salute you for it. Like I said, you're on the cutting edge of that, and you've always been like cutting edge, and even your music is on some next level stuff. So with that being said, like, what does, like, so we talked about the metaverse, we talked about, you know, before COVID, we're talking about the present. Now, what about the future, man? What can we look forward to 2023 and beyond, or within the next year, if you will?
Well, I mean, my record drops 3/3, so I'm super heavy focused right now on the pre-saves, the pre-sale I've got going on. I've got a double record I've made this time, so it's full 60 minutes. I've got a double vinyl I'm pushing. I'm working with National Audio Company. I've got my cassettes through them, so we've got a co-partnership there. Gitmo, Brainy Donut Records, Family and Friends Entertainment, kind of pushing the whole product. So there's a whole strategy around the physical side. And then separate from that is my entire community that I've got in Wax, WaxP, which is the blockchain that I mint all of my drops on, all of my music creations. So over the last year, I've built this incubation hub for projects and creators and artists on Telegram, and I've got 420 members, and we sort of share ideas. We help with growth strategy. Any new releases that are coming up are kind of shared around, and so a lot of the communion aspects that I'm talking about are centered in this incubation hub that I've created over there on Telegram. So for the next year and beyond, I've got a lot of drops, physical merchandise that I'm connecting to these contracts of authenticity that we're talking about. I've just made my first set of Muenster Visions, which are my custom designed shades. I've got 11 styles in V1. And so for $30 or so, you'll get the actual pair of sunglasses, a signed placard like I'm discussing that you get with any other high-end retail asset. But then you're also going to be able to go to the blockchain and get your minted token of authenticity, that contract of authenticity with that matching pair, so that you always have that kind of certificate of ownership for that sunglasses. And especially with V1, I mean, some of these designs are limited to 5 or 6 pair per the set. So like in my mind, exclusivity kind of ripples out. And so I've been working on that. I've got skateboards that are coming, full complete decks that are going to be my Muenster skateboards. And I've been working behind the scenes for the last 18 months directly with the Graffiti Kings, one of the most legendary street art coalitions that exists. They're, you know, formerly kind of UK rooted, but now it's worldwide. I'm heading up their whole Web3 play to earn gaming, Graph-Punk's media division. And so I've got 3 or 4 games in the hopper that I've been cooking up, and that are a couple are standalone, a couple are text in, like MMORPG, so like mixed role-playing games. Okay. And then in addition to that, we've created a whole line of street art toys that are redemption driven for playing through the games. And then in addition to that, if you get a certain NFT in your packs in these digital assets that we're talking about, and a certain one has these trait to it or a characteristic, then you'll be able to redeem that for a physical art toy to kind of bring it all home. So you've got this grounded work of physical merchandise, which you can of course buy from like my Bandcamp site. I'm about to have my muenstervision.art site up, and through the Muensterverse, I was explaining, it'll thrust you back into merchandising if you want to buy any stuff after you experience the record. So in addition to that, though, again, is all of the meta work I'm doing, the Web3 stuff on wax, putting these assets out there digitally, so that if you get any of these drops and you're a collector of the GK stuff, or you're a collector of the Muenster Vision stuff, or you're a collector of any of the collab projects I do, and you unlock these physical redemptions, then you'll be able to redeem those for physical goods too. So it's taking that digital environment, taking that physical environment, and then merging them, creating a touch point in real life with some communion.
Man, and that's brilliant. And like we said, and I like you got the game on lock, man. It's all cutting edge, and it's like as we were talking, I'm just like, things are clicking. Like, hey, it like the brick and mortar is now in the metaverse, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't need that brick and mortar. You could have it in the metaverse, and
Absolutely.
then and you bring it all back to communion.
But you tie them together. You tie them together in the same sentence, man. So like, that's absolutely crucial. Is nothing just makes it poof go away. It's how do we create those touch points, right? How do we close those gaps? Yeah.
And then you also talked about communion, and one thing that I think people, and the ego gets, sometimes with people, the ego is like me, and it's like, no, you didn't get here specifically. I mean, you had a hand in getting there, but also it's people that lift you up. Like I like to say the Wu-Tang blueprint, right? And I like how you are about communion. You're networking with other assets and people that can do things to bring it all together to help build the Muenster Vision brand. And I like how you just tie that in together, man. Like you said, it's all about communion, and everybody doing their part to make this one brand or vision come together, man. And that's excellent, man. Brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you. And you know this about me because we spent intimate time working alongside each other, but it's we versus me kind of mentality for me, right? All day long. It's we over me. So as many ways as I can bridgeway artists in and other creators in. I mean, I spend a lot of my time trying to take legacy musicians and legacy creators into the blockchain, into creating these digital assets, because it's just another way to get your work out there and to formulate these bonds with people. We gotta keep making these bonds, man. And so whatever tools that are in our disposal as a DIY creator, we really need to take and embrace. And so if I can share any of my insight along the way, that's what I'm trying to do. And so like, I offer consulting, I offer for the most part, I'll do a one-time hour for free on my time to try to help walk any artist interested in how to convert their standpoint from a kind of a framework way of releasing into this new way. I mean, I'm happy to do it. I might,
that's what I was gonna say, man. It's a whole nother episode just on that whole blueprint and how you just stepping into.
We should do it, though.
That's what I was thinking, because it's a whole nother, like, as we talk, it's like, wow, it's a whole nother venture. Like, you're on like next level stuff. Like, people don't even, because it's like a conversation I had. It's like we were talking about, it went from CDs, it went from vinyl, it went to CDs, then it went to MP3s, and now it's streaming. And it's like, okay, now the next wave, we're at that edge, and you're already there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, well, it's bridging it all together. I mean, it is all that. It was, vinyl and tape and CD and streams, MP3s and streams, and now we're starting to work backwards. I mean, vinyl resurgence is at an all-time peak.
Yeah.
3 or 4 of my good homies have all put out tapes this year, like actual cassettes. I'm putting out an actual cassette. There's energy and drive around, because I think we all want to experience art in as many ways as we can possible. And I know that my record is going to sound warmer and fuzzier and grittier on a tape than it's going to sound listening to it on the street, even more so on vinyl. You know what I mean? And you got tape heads, you got vinyl heads, you got collectors. And so, man, as many ways as we can get our art out there, seize that, lean into it. And NFTs have been such a remarkable way for me to get my product repackaged and reshaped and back out there. I mean, I've probably moved close to like 2,500 units in the last few months or so.
Impressive.
Dude, way impressive. Like, you know, the last 10 years of grinding on the streets, there's no way I've pushed that much ever, you know, combined across anything. But it's the way I try to explain it is, you got to set your price point and find your target audience, right? I mean, you can't go into this NFT thing thinking you're going to afford a yacht club this thing and do $1 million and be like, yo, I made this song and I dropped it and I got bank. No, target it like you do with Bandcamp. Target it like you do with iTunes. Target it like you do with anything where you're pushing your singles. Set your price point at about $1 for a song, about $10 for an album, 10, 15 bucks for a record, whatever. And then from there, if you have physical goods, awesome. Now you can create that mint, you can create that drop, you can create that digital pathway to connect all the people in the meta, all the people in Web3, all the people out there in the world to your physical good. But the same way you'd be driving them to your Bandcamp or your SoundCloud or whatever, by dropping them and sending them to your mint site, to your own physical art creation, you're creating a more unique one-on-one experience with your fan, with your consumer, and you're able to get touch points and unlock a level of an agreement that we make with each other that you wouldn't get through those other sources. And what I mean by that is, when I put an art asset out there, I'm making an agreement, a commitment to give something that I think is of worth, of value, and something that's credible. And the agreement you're making as a consumer is that you're agreeing to receive my art, receive my creation, and take it in holistically as best as possible. And I think it's a lot more personal when you're creating a way for a consumer to get your art directly, and they know that whatever support they're giving you is going right to you, and there's a way to kind of track the growth and follow it. Now, all of that to be said, I've got a whole unique system set up, you know, through that smart contract royalty, right, where all of my creators that join me on this record, all of the MCs that I had come on board and feature with me, as they're getting savvy to this and as they're getting hip to the blockchain, I'm setting up a back end 15% split. So like on all of my sales that are sold as NFTs, digital assets, I'm setting back 15% into this kind of suspense wallet, so that as all these artists are like, oh, this is interesting, or it's just become mainstream in 2 or 3 years, I've got this wallet of tokens that's set up, just distributing out every 30 days. So like, the more artists that get involved, the diffusion will of course occur, but you know, to the bold get the spoils, because any of the MCs that want to sign up now and get this wallet going, as we start selling this record and as the packs drop and as people start doing the collection and trying to get the whole trading card set and blending up for the special editions and trying to collect the physicals and blending up for the, you know, extra special art I'm working with IDK Davies on, for example, doing the whole, you know, like hunt and collection gamification to it. All that, in theory, should be generating enough crypto tokens, wax, to be, you know, substantial as the whole market starts to grow and lead in that direction. So I'm trying to set everybody up. I'm trying to keep everybody happy. I'm trying to keep everybody fed, because it is about all of us coming together and all of us collectively, you know, forging the future together.
Oh yeah, and then, you know, that builds a network, and then, you know, it'll spread, you know, and as they get savvy, like you teach them, they get savvy, and you know, and I'm glad you're doing that. And like you said, the focus is also being community based. But as with all our great interviews, man, we're up against that time, but we will have a part 2. Oh man, it's just so much being dropped. And again, man, I'm glad that everything panned out, and you've built, you know what I mean? Like, comes another door closes, one even opens up, you know what I'm saying? And you fine tune, and you found your lane. Man, you just dropped so much, man. I'm still absorbing. We'll definitely do a part 2. But any closing words, man? That, because you always on Conscious Cafe, you always had some great closing words, man. So another great you know, Furious and Monster collab, man. Any closing words as we close this awesome interview, man, where you dropped numerous of gems? I hope people had their like sacks, because he dropped so much, man. Any parting words? Hey,
man, I don't know. Yes, just never never be afraid to show up, embrace the fact that none of us know how this thing's supposed to go. And if you're curious, ask the questions, mess up, crumple the paper up, throw it away, pull it back out, correct your lines. Success looks like scribbles, man. And never be afraid to lean into it. Yeah.
Success looks like scribbles, man. I like that. That is a quotable. Another quotable. So, ladies and gentlemen, another great interview with my co-host of the former Conscious Cafe MC doing this thing. And you heard it, man. Just, hey, be on the lookout. Monster Vision. And Furious signing off on Deeper Than Music.
Peace, y'all. Much love.
What a wonderful world we live in, even if it's the only world that I know. We all sick and tired of being sick and tired. This bomb is locked, it's about to explode. If happiness is a choice, then I choose it of my own free will. Being negative is an impediment, it's imperative that I keep it real. I'm thankful for every meal until they break the final seal. Time's the only constant and it's obvious what this reveals. Lobbyists with crooked deals, politics mistook for skill. Impossible to be positive when the dreams you have go unfulfilled. I'm a fire sign, I'm not inclined to care about the bottom line. I go against the grand design. Me and a couple friends of mine, sleepless nights trying to make it to the light. I for one am not impressed. You can call it progress, but I don't trust the process. They say the truth will set you free, but mostly it just gets you killed, ridiculed and cast aside. How am I supposed to feel out here on this killing field? This still the only friend I know. How is war not criminal, yet public outcry be minimal? They say the truth will set you free, but mostly it just gets you killed, ridiculed and cast aside. How am I supposed to feel?
Tear the town down, pour the tea out, shoot the satellites, burn the print press, smash your monitor, slash the monikers, turn the sound out, tear down the fences.
They say the truth will set you free, but mostly it just gets you killed, ridiculed and cast aside. How am I supposed to feel?
Tear the town down, pour the tea out, shoot the satellites, burn the print press, smash your monitor, slash the monikers, turn the sound out, tear down the fences. Woke up with my folks young, and I always know that there's more to this, so I stoke some with some dope chums, and I don't front a boast manuscript. So rap about the life, ain't about the lies. I will encapture folks, transfer all the light I will evoke, and I will preach hope, and they will feel smoke though, cause I go after mine. Hand me a motherfucking mic in a crowd, and a hi-hat and a nice thump in the ground. Well, highs at there, that sub in your house, wisecrack stop cause you run in your mouth, till I showed up, and the wise all nuts, and we out of our minds, a psycho bunch. Murder ya, financial fishes and vibrance, my words in a tight verse, right hearse, what? Gemini nurse ya, rappers these days are vice versa, not good and in need of inertia, mumbling verses and perking in purple, I'm running rehearsals and working my purpose, I'm asking what's equal, ignoring what's needed, killing the people, the axis of evil, they driving a wedge and they blinded through vehicles, eating like chauvinists, preaching the feeble. Tear the town down, pour the tea out, shoot the satellites, burn the print press, smash your monitor, slash the monikers, turn the sound out, tear down the fences. We are the voice now, they cannot take that. Instead they'll smash all behind the face masks, fall in line and they'll blame the race class, complacent to death. Let's grab our place back.
They say the truth will set you free, but mostly it just gets you killed, ridiculed and cast aside. How am I supposed to feel?
Tear the town down, pour the tea out, shoot the satellites, burn the print press, smash your monitor, slash the monikers, turn the sound out, tear down the fences.
They say the truth will set you free, but mostly it just gets you killed, ridiculed and cast aside. How am I supposed to feel?
Tear the town down, pour the tea out, shoot the satellites, burn the print press, smash your monitor, slash the monikers, turn the sound out, tear down the fences.
They say the truth will set you free, but mostly it just gets you killed, ridiculed and cast aside. How am I supposed to feel?
Tear the town down, pour the tea out, shoot the satellites, burn the print press, smash your monitor, slash the monikers, turn the sound out, tear down the fences.
Pilots of the present, stay organized, my friends. Fist up. Life's a question or a riddle. To figure out whatever path we're on often leads to break the constructs that we lean on as a Padawan. We deign to face the frameworks of the paradigm, shifts the pallets down. We arise to leave the levees lest we pine to leave the blinders on. Not I, no way. I am one of mass array, so mass aways. No limits on the visions when we basking in the facts of gray. Absolutes or if buts about it. It's luck with risk, $0 when the doubt hits. No traps with the truth when your mud's surrounded. It's wisdom in sips, funeral such abounded. Inhale, push, coast and lean in. Show up, do work, and free your works to relive and break the pains of all the anguish forefathers failed to prevent. Be courageous to the painted faces blowing in the wind. Achieve the changes in the matrices we trying to leave them. A generation of instant gratification in the face of a pandemic. Man, it has been weird. Odd discord, distant and division. Masked in the place where there once could see the dissent or wisdom. Stay. All those levels in the sine wave, some dynamics. Deep puddles in the mind, also dynamic. So when we level the designs on some false tenets, sink your rhymes in like the violins on the Titanic. We keep it relative in spheres, physics dynamics. And we've been sentient for years, music's dynamic. Fiat, we some griots, y'all some bad tenants. We on teaching beyond the weekends, eons Titanic.
We're in a distant realm of twisted trails, misinformation, scripted tales. It's hate and racism, just myth and spells. It's a state and place and just worth 6 of jails. We're full of opportunity and travesty. Have to look at life's harsh reality. Beat the demographics, each purposes, size of economics, what's the formality? New world, people, one dimension. Judgmental over analytical. Post-pandemic, schizophrenic, high and wide with no spiritual. Finally voted, now they all political. Apathetic, now they turning cynical. No color lines, just a great love for my kind under God individual.
I put that die in dynamic. There's always a knife for my hand is. Crash landed on Earth cause everything died on my planet. Stranded ears ringing like them Silent Hill sirens are blaring. Appearances strongly resembling the likeness of my parents. No interference when you interference. Rewarding with endearments. One of the most important, clearest reasons I be recording lyrics. Imagine this image, it'll make your brain hurt until it might burst. I seen the Aryan with a swastika tattoo and Tupac shirt. Still, I don't know, but I bet the cops even listen to the song. Fuck the police, party up in that evidence locker. So much snow that they catch your nosebleeds. At a live show, got my knife to a chick's throat. It's sorta dark, but I'm a maestro. Everybody in the crowd know it's my performance art. But still, you gotta be careful when you are performing with blades. With pills, you better be careful that fitting will put you in graves. You a shield, when I prevent all the danger, it just ricochets. It builds your tolerance anytime you experience pain.
Levels in the side, waves some dynamics. Deep puddles in the mind, also dynamic. So when we level the designs on some false tenets, sink your rhymes in like the violins on the Titanic. We keep it relative in spheres, physics dynamics. And we've been sentient for years, music's dynamic. Fiat, we some griots, y'all some bad tenants. We on teaching beyond the weekends, eons Titanic.
I am Ian. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the show.
Let's go. Right here goes to all my peoples. One time for my day ones though. Minute right words, y'all all my equals. Wants to elevate like a runway though. Top flight got vibes, no steeples. Better make a pray out on Sunday flow. Drip vibes got time and cerebrals. Wondering that I'm coming at you so. Walked in, checked the lights, hit the line. Clocked in, wrecked the mic, did my time. The boss in, blessed the minds, fixed the sign. You lost an exit, the left, here's the sign. Once in my zone, bro, it's my time. You left me no choice, so the focus divine. Closing the rope that be carving your craniums. Complacencies, vacancies, blaming the lies. Very unraveling, left of the settling. The spot that you're peddling, the Padawan's minds. This is the way, so they run up and shine. Pop off the mouth at the cost of the spine. Plotting on poppies and they lost every time. And I'm taking up tokens, those bounties are mine. Forcing the issue, now I'm back on my shine. Got my hand on my saber, never question my side. This right here goes to all my peoples. One time for my day ones though. Minute right words, y'all all my equals. Wants to elevate like a runway though. Top flight got vibes, no steeples. Better make a pray out on Sunday flow. Drip vibes got time and cerebrals. Wondering that I'm coming at you so. I'm the savior y'all hate on and rolled off and slept. But I'm back with the ancients and got time for your spit. So gather your forces and holler your click. And you'll load up your choppers and chips. Yeah, bars up the homies, so come stumble and pip. Punks up above to get beat down on my flips. Think that I'm hated or maybe just dated. That makes me elated, y'all jaded the script. Cause I ain't rap about the caps and perks and zans. Maybe I ain't understand rate kids. Ain't mimic that baby, so must to be lame. And I'm talking about bars in a script. But your mama's been loving the way I've been hitting it. Watch me, I'll drop with them fades and then rip it. I got you on one with my moxie, my go on, tell them I deal with no sips. Hey, this right here goes to all my peoples. One time for my day ones though. Minute right words, y'all all my equals. Wants to elevate like a runway though. Top flight got vibes, no steeples. Better make a pray out on Sunday flow. Drip vibes got time and cerebrals. Wondering that I'm coming at you so.